Is there something maybe when you have a role where you do have to do efforts and screams and stuff, do you do like warm ups before and maybe some cool downs or something afterwards to kind of help relax?
Yeah.
Welcome to Behind the Slate, where I sit down with fellow voice actors and other. Welcome to Behind the Slate, where I sit down with fellow voice actors and other industry artists to have a fireside chat. I'm your host, Christian O'Boyle. If you'd like to know more about me, please check out my website at christianoboyle.com. In this episode, I'll be talking with PM Seymour, an Irish-American voice actor who has provided his vocals across the web in mobile video games, commercials, kids shows, and console games such as PS4, Xbox, Nintendo Wii U, and Switch. He is also currently running his own YouTube channel where the phrase, if you wrote it on the late night web, chances are I read it, comes to vocal life. What is something that maybe got you into acting?
Um, okay, so I started theater troupe in high school
Hmm.
because honestly, the biggest fear I wanted to get over when I was younger was stage fright. And I got rid of that for the most part. And then the biggest issue became is when I was younger, I was a much heavier dude. So I became self-conscious about being on stage when I had to move around and a lot. It's like, oh God, there's things moving around in places I don't want people to see. So my director was like, well, okay, we have another production coming up and we're looking for a character that's off stage. So he's more like a voice of God sort of character. It's like, is that something you're interested in? I'm like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Are you what? He's like, yeah, it's voiceovers. It's doing the characters without being seen. And like big mind explosion at that moment. Like at 17, I was like, what?
This is a thing.
Yeah. So the more I did it, the more how much I enjoyed it. And I realized this is the thing I want to do
Right.
because it makes me happy and it lets me act without being seen for the most part.
Right. That's awesome. So then kind of right after that, did you kind of start pursuing the idea of voice acting?
Yeah, like I started looking into like places I could perform because I when I got out of high school, the internet wasn't that strong back in the day where I lived, so it's one of those you just had to keep finding different outlets and such.
Mhm.
And by the time I rolled into college, I was introduced to websites like Voice Acting Club and Newgrounds and stuff, and I started doing a lot of work there, getting tips from people like Kim Latron, Devin Mack, and they basically told me all the things I was doing wrong and the things I should be doing. And then I eventually just built up from there because I like as soon as I sat down and talked with them,
Mhm.
I realized I had to start from ground zero all over again and figure out
Right.
what I'm supposed to be doing right versus what I was just doing to get by.
Right. Now, one of the things in voice acting, a lot of people assume to be a voice actor, you need a million voices and you need to have all of these other options. But do you feel that a voice actor needs all of these in their pocket, or do you think it's just an extra little extra nice thing to have?
I I have mixed feelings on this. The best way I could compare it is how much do you know about culinary arts,
A
like
bit.
cooking and such? The five basic sauces, I feel like that's like sort of the same ground level you could look at voice acting with.
Hmm.
Or it's just like you have maybe 4 or 5 voices that you ace at. You use those to get your work, and then you can build around those voices to have a little bit more of utility work with it. I think when you enter certain fields like anime and stuff, they really want you as you.
Right.
It's easier to do, it's easier to perform, and considering you have to do so much already in terms of ADR, it's like, yeah, just be you.
Yeah.
If you have to like get into like this 30 seconds phase to get into character every time we break, it's not going to work.
That totally makes sense. Um, Now speaking of anime and kind of just multiple voices, you can speak Japanese and it seems fluently. When did you kind of start studying the Japanese language?
Right around sophomore and college year, right around college and sophomore year. It's too early for me right now. Because I I loved. I actually have an equal love for both subs and dubs, and I wanted to see what it would be like to do Japanese voice acting because it's so different from
Right.
English voiceovers. So it's like, all right, I'll go into school to study it, see what it's like. And it was so weird because I was the only kid in that course taking it. So it basically just became a 4-month training session with one teacher.
Oh, that is
So I learned,
nice.
yeah, I lucked out on that and I learned a lot. The one thing that we never touched up on is actually start doing like Seiyu work. So it's one of those, I still have to read scripts in Romaji. I can't read it in kanji or katakana. So it's a
Right.
little trickier.
But you can always build from that. But
Oh,
that's
yeah.
that's cool that you kind of pursued that and then got lucky to basically be one-on-one with the teacher for that long of a full semester, full quarter.
Oh, yeah.
Um, now, one of the things that I feel that maybe a lot of voice actors struggle with, I'm one of them, I'm still kind of learning, is efforts and uh, not slaughtering your voice. And obviously, it's going to happen. You're going to put strain on your voice and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Is there something maybe when you have a role where you do have to do efforts and screams and stuff, do you
Mhm.
do like warm ups before and maybe some cool downs or something afterwards to kind of help relax?
Yeah. Yeah, because I usually keep all the effort stuff towards the very end, and
Hmm.
most directors respect that honor too of doing all the stuff at the end.
Hmm.
A lot of the warm-ups, I usually actually start doing singer warm-ups before doing into that because like a lot of the Dragon Ball Z yelling for the way it works out so well is you're basically doing like pushing all the effort from your diaphragm. So you have
Right.
to like do a lot of inhale and exhale. So like if you ever look up like the traditional singing practices of like where your breathing technique should be and everything,
Hmm.
that helps a lot so you're not straining your throat while doing it because 30 seconds going ah, it hurts after a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah. I was doing some research on like how metal singers are able to scream. Obviously, they can do full sets and
Hmm.
be okay. Obviously, probably still feel some repercussions. So I was kind of studying metal singers and their singing, and then I was studying some other things, and I found a good kind of balance where someone goes, when you scream, don't have breath, like don't breathe in because
Hmm.
you have all your air rushing out of your vocal cords at the same time, which is what causes a lot of the damage. Um,
Yeah.
and then someone else said, find your break because when you sing, you have your chest voice and your head voice. Find the break
Hmm.
and then put fry into that. So I
Yes.
applied less air with vocal break, created this harmonious balance between an effort without actually going, oh, I don't feel like I need to swallow needles now.
I love when I have moments like that. I'm like, I have to write that down so I remember how I did that.
Right, right. So I'm kind of playing with it. Again, you almost have to be very you can't do it a lot because then you could ruin your voice for the day.
Yeah.
So you only can like do it for like a minute and practice for a minute.
Yeah.
And then you're
Yeah.
like,
Techniques
I'm
like
done.
that usually you can do for like short efforts, like the fighting noises, because like you want them to have a punch to them, but you don't want to get carried away.
Right, right. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things to where finding the perfect balance and how to properly treat your voice. And look at me, I'm drinking
Mhm.
coffee. Probably not the best thing because coffee dehydrates you.
I always get told no, you shouldn't drink coffee before a session. I'm like, you can't stop me.
You watch me. I will drink as I record. Yeah, one of my things is coffee. Yeah, it kind of dries me out, but I drink
Mhm.
lots and lots and lots of water. However, one of the things that I always run into is the creamer. The creamer
Yes.
always makes me go, it's like, this is
Yeah.
glorious. This sounds good. I mean, you already hear every little minuscule thing that your mouth is doing, and now you're like choking on phlegm.
Yeah. The only time I'll ever jump on board to like drinking milk or anything is when I have to do like a character that has to sound congested. And it's like, perfect.
Let me get
Wow,
some
you
cookies
sound
and
like it
milk.
now. It's perfect.
I don't think I've done that in terms of I'm just gonna drink some milk to, but that does make sense in terms of like if you need to sound mucusy and ugh, drink
Yeah. It's
drink
like I would only recommend doing it for like short reads. If you know it's a character that's like has 3 lines and then you're done, it's like, all right, grab the milk. Might as well
right,
make this as good as you can do it.
right.
But all the time. Like if you had a character that was like a 30-page side character script, you'd be like, maybe practice on how to sound congested.
But I did it intentionally, and it was a bad idea, and I have to roll with it. Actually, we don't even have milk in our house 90% of the time. We only have almond milk or almond coconut milk, and then our creamer is generally uh, almond creamer with caramel or vanilla or whatever.
See, that one's not too bad. Like there's a creamer that I get that's called Left Field that's like lactose free, and
Mm.
like I've noticed that actually helps a lot too without making the voice sound all curdly and gross.
Right.
It's like, oh, this is good.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm keeping it.
Though right now I'm drinking the Starbucks like uh, caramel
Oh,
caramel dul- cinnamon dulce
caramel
or whatever. I
quotations.
don't even. So I'm like, I'm gonna forget this in 5 minutes. But that's okay because it was worth it because it's very delicious and I need it. uh so I feel that many voice actors in terms of just finding roles, um either like we kind of covered, they feel that you need 1,000 voices.
Mhm,
Like you said, you need 3 to 5 in-house voices that you can go to, which I feel you can take your natural voice, there's 1.
mhm.
Pitch it up, there's 2. Bring it down, there's 3. And as
Yep.
long as you kind of find how to properly do those, and then obviously you then apply your acting, which is a completely different thing,
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
which again creates how many other more characters because you're now monotone or you're inflecting a lot or all this stuff. You're slow, you're fast. That alone is
Mhm,
another handful, pocketful. Um, but I think also a lot of voice actors feel that they need and have to have a voice agent, a talent agent to land those roles that are maybe resume worthy or to be seen by other clients in larger roles. Do you feel that an agent is necessary to be successful in the industry?
You know, I went through my first couple of years without an agent, and because I think it's one of those when I went without one, I just started looking for all the work myself. And
Mhm.
now that I have two, I still find myself trying to do all the work while one of them actually does hand me slides every so often for projects and everything. But like the second agent's like, when we have something that fits you, we'll call you. And it's like, that was 2 years ago. So,
You're like, why do
uh,
I have you?
so the big answer is depends on where you are. I feel like if you're in Texas, you're better off getting an agent because I see the anime industry going in that direction where they're going to talk to agents more than the talents. New York, you can probably get by if you live in the heart of the city. You just find certain reps and places to audition and you're good. California, yes, absolutely. You're probably going to want one.
Mhm.
And the big one that everybody's two of them that everybody seems to be going to is AB2 Talent and Atlas. And they are the big guys, but they also have the most classical way of getting in. Like you need referrals, you have to hand in physical stuff. It's one of those, it's not just you can go to an email and be like, hey, here's my thing. Please give me a job. Thank you.
I found you on the internet and I thought it was a very good idea. You guys look very interesting. I would like to submit.
Yeah. I think the most beneficial thing you could have is not an agent, but a manager. And
Mm,
managers can actually do all the things agents do, but they also work with you hands on to improve yourself and what you think works best for you. Because my manager right now is ACM,
mhm.
and they have been doing wonders for me. They basically said, we'll take you on board, but the first thing we have to fix with you is your commercial demo because your first 5 seconds are great. The rest,
Man.
no.
Well, that's a good idea to have actually someone look at your stuff and kind of let you know how it is. Um, I've done a couple of those consultations with coaches, and I'll send them my video game demo, and they're like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, good, good, good.
very good.
Nothing to say. Here's my commercial demo. It's not bad. It's
Yeah.
not man. It's just kind of you have it. Sounds good.
This is the biggest folly with voiceovers. It's actually sometimes easier to do character work.
Yeah,
But in terms of commercials where you have to be the best professional you possible, it's really difficult.
yeah. Well,
I'm not a fan of it.
on top of that, my natural speaking voice is upbeat and energetic. Like if I talk, I'm talking naturally, not intentionally inflecting anything. And a lot of people are like, "You sound energetic. You need to reel it back."
Mhm.
Okay. And so when they're like, "You need a smile in your voice when you're recording," so I'm being very happy that I'm going to talk to you about what we're going to do, and I can't smile because I don't need to. If I smile, I over smile. So
Yeah.
I've been working with a coach, and actually, one of the things that I think where commercials are right now is the older, kind of more mature read, 30
Mhm.
to 50 years old, give or take. So that is not my wheelhouse. So I've been working on creating wheelhouse voices for those scripts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just finding where to go naturally when you do that. And I think that if and I assume you might agree, but if you're going to be successful in the industry, you have to take coaching.
Yes, you absolutely do. It's one of those you can't be stubborn about it either. Be like, I've been doing this for so long. It'll be okay. Like, no, I'm telling you right now, coaches, they will tell you things about your voice you never even realized that were
Mhm.
going wrong until somebody sat down and said, no.
No. Yeah. My coach, she's been in the industry for 20 to 30 years. I don't know exactly, but she has very similar quirks like I
Mhm.
do. The sounding too young, inflection, might find yourself your voice kind of popping into your nasal. And so I'll be talking and I'll be doing a script and she goes, "Meh, you went nasal." It's like, dang it, I didn't hear it. And she goes, "You went nasal." It's like, I have to figure out how, one, I need to figure out how I'm going nasal, and two, how to prevent going nasal. So that's kind of
Yeah.
one of the things I'm working on right now with my coach.
Singing coaches are a lot like that too. It's just like you'll be doing a beautiful ballad piece, like you're inhaling too much. Do it again. Turn it.
What?
Okay, fine.
You're kidding me. Yeah, actually, I think singing is actually very important as well. I talked to
It is.
Elsie Lovelock last Behind the Slate, where we're talking about
Mhm.
singing and how one singing just helps with breath support, but also your range. And I found that when I've been singing, my range has actually gotten lower. So I'm actually able to do those lower voices. I'm not going to do it right now because it's too early, but I can do the lower voices a lot easier now because I was able to sing and find those lower ranges.
Yeah, it really does help. Like honestly, singing is what helped me get into like the orcish tones, like learning how to like sing from the chest
Ooh,
and realize orcs need to come right down here to
I
give
can't go
that
that
like
low.
jaundice and everything.
I can't
It's
go
like, oh, I wish I knew
that.
about this 5 years ago.
And this is the lowest I can go, which is almost like a hero kind of
Yeah,
thing. This is I'm gonna get you, sir. Arr.
yeah.
So I can't even. My lowest is not even villain low. It's just baritone low.
Yeah. And that actually leads into another thing that I think up and coming actors also need to understand is we want to voice every possible character in existence, but the truth of the matter is there's just some that we can't do. Like I can't be the hero character. I've tried. I have tried. It's too goofy. So it's like, all right, these are my 5 things that I know I'm good at. Suave characters, orcs, villains, nerdy people, and just me. And I've yet to find anything that just book is me.
See, mine is the hero protagonist,
Mhm.
soldiers, warriors, soldier warriors, um, big brother. I've done stuff as me, um, and I've been getting a lot of robots and creatures. The last couple of projects I've been
Yeah.
marketing to, they're like, "Oh, I listened to your creature demo." I was like, "Yeah," and they're like, "I scared my house, like I scared my family." I was like,
It's
"I don't know if I should be excited or sorry."
a good feeling,
It's a
really. Like
good
creature work
feeling. I'm like, "I'm sorry I
is
scared your family, but awesome."
yeah. Creature work is tricky. Robot voiceovers is definitely probably the most challenging. And I know most people think like, really, to sound like a robot's that hard? It's like depends on what robot they're looking for,
Yeah,
really.
there's robots with personality, kinda
Yeah.
like a Bender from Futurama.
Hmm.
And then there's robots that are just flat tone, just
Yeah.
general read that breaks up. And the thing is, being able to read something and break it up while making it sound believable and not, yeah, it's
Yeah.
been,
It's like one of those. I give mad props to the voice actress behind Gladys because that's exactly what she had to do. Was basically break every possible word down, and then they spliced it into a statement that sounds like it's coming from a person, but it's not.
right. So it is definitely one of those things. And then, yeah, like you said, not every, I will probably never be able to do an orc, but I can do the goblins. And then
Yes.
the very high pitchy kind of whiny kind of characters. And I feel that, and I could be wrong, most actors who can do the orcs probably can't get to the goblin level for the most part, unless you're really good.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong because obviously every actor is different with what they're capable of doing. Um, you're like, I can do a goblin. I'll show you.
It's like all right, show me. It's like okay. It's like all right, but can you act with that voice? Well, no, not really. No. All
Uh,
right. Well, have a nice day.
I mean, acting is, especially voice acting. It's kind of, it's a weird kind of, it's more or less reading with a personality and a purpose behind what you're reading,
Yeah.
but making it believable, like almost putting the emotion in your obviously this is the acting part, putting the emotion into what you're reading, making it believable, not that you're reading, but at the same time, like I almost like process it as if I'm just like reading with an emotion, just like intensely.
Mhm.
um
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And you know what? Acting techniques changed over the years too. I've noticed even with myself. When I first started, I was definitely one of those, I need to find every sort of thing to connect with this character as much as possible.
Oh
But when you start getting like three-liner people, like, all right, just wing it. Just figure out if it works or not. Make it sound believable. Just roll with it.
yeah, but
And
dude,
then like commercial reads are an eye opener because the biggest thing my manager I think told me was just like, no one is ever going to read passionately about reading for the IRS, but you gotta try. It's like, all right, it's a good point.
yeah, that is, commercials is, people are like, oh, you don't need to act for a commercial voiceover. It's like, that's a lie. That is,
Yeah.
it's, I find commercial voice acting much more complicated than video game and animation voice acting.
Yeah.
But it's, again, what I'm striving for. I would love to do a couple commercials, maybe some explainer videos, and get some clients in the explainer video area. So that way I can
Mhm.
actually be making a little bit of extra side revenue in voiceover.
Yeah.
Not saying that I'm not making anything in the video game or indie side, but you probably know you can't make a lot without.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because indie stuff do not have like the same budgets as like commercials or high end stuff do. So it's just
Yeah.
like one of those. If it's a project that you know that you're passionate about and you like it, go for it. But like it's one of those, definitely keep looking out for commercial and like
Yeah.
lecture work because that is definitely what's going to keep you afloat.
Yeah. Yeah. That is very true. It's one of those things where I'm still trying to, I'm marketing intensely, but I'm finding that most of my marketing keeps on pulling up like video game studios. I'm like, I'm like, yes, I'm excited to reach out to you, but no, that's not what I'm looking for. Hi. And I signed up with a pay to play. My first pay to play technically. I'm on
Mhm.
voiceovers.com.
Ooh.
So they're brand new, and they're planning, or their goal is to completely be fair, fair rates, fair industry, and they're trying to change what the pay to play format is now.
Yeah.
So I was like, that seems very admirable. I will sign up with you and we'll
Yeah.
see how it goes. So I've gotten a couple auditions from them, but again, they're still fairly new, so it's not like I get maybe one every other week or two if I'm lucky, but
Yep.
we'll see.
Yeah, and it's one of those, I never give any flock to like pay to plays because I know that's always a big controversy of like, how do you feel about pay to plays? I'm like, let's look at the broader perspective. Everything is pay to play.
Yeah.
Agents are pay to play. They'll take a cut. Managers are pay to play. They'll take a monthly thing. Websites are all like, no matter what, in order to get the work that you want to do, you're gonna have to give somebody money to do it.
Yeah. Nah, but you're very right. And I think I heard someone say that before you start making before you start going in the green in voiceover,
Hmm.
generally you will spend about $10,000 to $20,000 before you start seeing more profit than you do in the red.
Yeah. See, I was about to sit here and think, I don't think that's true. And then I look at my microphones, my booth, my programming stuff, my computer. I'm like, yeah, I probably did
Mm.
actually spend
Your
$10,000 on
website,
this. My
your
website.
any pay to plays if you signed up for any pay to plays. And then you start you start calculating, you're like,
You start sitting there thinking like, oh crap, I have.
oh, that's mm-hmm.
And then some people are like, you should also move to Los Angeles. I'm like, that's another $20,000 right there.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to make Seattle work just because I have a family and all this stuff and already
Yeah.
established
Well,
home.
Seattle's also one of those nice spots. Like, there's like few cities that most people don't think about when it comes to like doing certain auditions. Like, Seattle's one of them.
Yeah.
Atlanta, Georgia is one of them. Albany, New York is actually one of them. I've seen a lot of commercial reads come out of studios
Yeah.
in there.
Chicago.
So yep. So it's like, don't like give those guys any gripe because they probably actually make just as much money as like the animation industry does
Right.
in the three prime areas.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try to make Seattle work and see how we fare.
Well, I
Um,
wish you luck on that.
but in even still, if somehow I landed a role in LA from Seattle, that's a big like somehow. Uh, it's only $130 round trip to fly to
Ooh.
LA. So
Oh yeah, because you're really close.
yeah,
That
so it's
helps.
literally just I was like, well, that's nice. I can get to LA cheaply. Now I have to land roles. I don't. I'll work on that later. That's not.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not even marketing to LA agents or Texas agents. I'm like, that's when I'm much more established and have a
Hmm.
much larger resume to show off. Resume is starting to build, but I still feel comfortably. I think I want to go another year or two before I actually start maybe submitting to those agents. Just
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And that's another question I've actually seen people ask me. Like, when do you think it's right to hand a demo into somebody? Um, I say either between 4 to 10 years. Honestly, it's one of those that all really depends on where you think you feel you're competitive ready.
yeah. See, I got my first agent uh within see, I started in February last year, December last year. So within 10 months, I had my first agent, but it's a small boutique in Seattle.
Hmm.
So, in terms of competitiveness, I don't have much competitiveness in the voiceover realm. Two, because of that, I've only received, besides on film, because they're like, "Hey, we're gonna also put you on the film roster." It's like,
Hmm.
sure, I don't do film, but why not? Which I actually did one project on film through
Oh,
them.
cool.
Otherwise, they've only sent me two voiceover auditions this entire time.
Hmm.
So, yeah, you might be able to find an agent. Yeah, you might be able to get lucky to find an agent. Maybe they're smaller, but you're probably also going to be seeing not as many auditions through a smaller agency.
Yeah.
But
It always comes back to, it's like, you don't need an agent to succeed. It's
right.
nice to have, but it's not an end all thing.
No, no, it's definitely not. And I think maybe yeah, you go, "Hey, I have an agent," but no one cares,
Yeah.
really. I mean, sure, if you're signed on with Atlas or ACM and stuff like that, sure, saying I have an agent, it's one of the big names. That's a completely different thing than saying I'm signed with ABC.
Yeah. Well, it's like the thing I always like tell people. It's just like it's cool to have an agent, but think about how many sitcoms that exist where the bad acting friend gets an agent. So it's like one of those. Sometimes you don't have to do much, and obviously it doesn't make their happy ending come true because the agent's like, "We'll take you on, but I'm sure we don't have anything." So it's one of those. You
Right.
got to keep improving and keep trying, and realize sometimes you still have to look for the work yourself.
Oh yeah. And I think even one of the things that everyone talks about is an agent might bring you about 10% of your annual work.
Hmm.
So if that were true, that means you have to do 90 to 95% of the legwork anyway for
Hmm.
everything else. So, but if you have, say, 3 agents and a couple rosters, that 10% is not going to multiply. It's not going to go from 10 to 30%. It's going to go from like 10 to 15, maybe
Yeah,
10 to 20%. But that still means you have to do the rest of the legwork of everything else.
exactly.
So that is very true. And I feel that one of the things that you can do to kind of get yourself known out there, kind of network, is personal projects. That's kind of
Hmm.
one of the reasons why I started Behind the Slate, is one, to have my guests be able to tell their story, and kind of in a sense it's a marketing thing. But at
Hmm.
the same time, it's for me to get to know everyone else. I get to know you. We've never talked before. Um, but I've always wanted to reach out to you and be like, hey, let's get to know each other. And that's one of the reasons why I started Behind the Slate, is to be able to get to know everyone, more people in the industry. Obviously, I would wish I could talk to everyone, but I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah.
um,
It's a good endeavor to have just because there's so many like figureheads that have different aspects of the industry. Like
mhm.
you could sit down with me and talk about like the online industry, and then you could talk to like somebody like John DiMaggio and be like, all right, this is what we're doing over here. And it's two different stories.
Completely different stories. Even if we talked about the same thing about someone else, two different stories, because
Hmm.
everyone has their own different uh, ways they went about it, and routes and stuff like that. You started voiceover and you started acting because someone else did something else.
Hmm.
Nothing's gonna line. And I have had some people say, I found some useful and insightful information from this. I'm like, I'm glad that
Yeah.
that wasn't my end all goal, but I'm so glad you actually found this insightful and useful.
Yeah. And
Now,
that's good. And that's good in art stuff because you don't want to have one solution like this is what this person did, so I'm gonna do it. It's more
yeah.
like, all right, this is how this worked out for this person, this is how it worked for them, everything. And then you like because at the end of the day, you still want to build your own story, but not like imitate other people's
Mhm.
stories, I guess is the thing I'm trying to say.
No, very true. Now, what do you feel? Why is personal projects important?
I think they help you as an individual grow as an actor, like because like since doing the YouTube channel, I've actually learned a lot about myself. Like things that I know that'll work, things that I know that entertain people, and like things that I know that I can still keep doing and they will work out.
Hmm.
It's one of those, and you can use those personal projects to help collect income or build the basket or figure out where how you can present yourself as an actor in general with your normal voice. Because, like I said in the beginning, I have yet to actually book something as myself. It's one of those. It's usually just I have to pitch myself up. I have to give myself more flair. But the person you're talking to right now has never booked a thing in his life like
Oh,
this. And that's the thing that I want. And it's one of those when you build a channel to help create that stuff, you figure out what works for you and what doesn't in terms
right.
of your normal voice. And
Okay.
I think it's one of those, it's like painters. It's like they keep painting because they want to learn more and do more.
Hmm.
If they ever stopped painting, it's like, crap, how do I do this again?
That is very true. Now, can you tell me about your late night voiceover reads?
So, okay, what this is starting because this is the thing that kind of really actually got the ball rolling. It was like because I used to work late at night just because it's one of those, it was the only time I was available behind the microphone. Um, and like I dive into Tumblr and like late night Twitter a lot, and I started looking at some bizarre stuff. Like this sounds crazy already written. I wonder how this would sound with voices behind it. So the first ever late night Tumblr video was never meant to happen. I just pushed the record button and I just kept browsing and just reading things out loud. And when I looked back on the final track, like, oh, this is good. Oh, this is good. We got to use this. Started putting it together. I started sending it private. Like, what do you think? Is this funny? It's like, this is actually really funny. Upload it now. And then like that's what kept it going. It was just one of those, the concept of like, it's crazy what people will write in the late of night down and have it be legible. And then the ultimate perspective, like, how would this sound?
Right. Right.
And that's my weird form of art, really.
I took a listen to some of them and it was like you said, them being written out is crazy enough. Being voiced, hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like,
And it's a good test for like certain scripts too, that you don't want to break down and laugh because it's too funny.
right.
So it's just like, I just need to read this straight and I can't. It's
Well,
one of those, you start reading late night blogs, like, all right,
here we go.
I'm bulletproof. Let's do this.
And I think one of the things that also helps is just creating characters. Like, how
Yeah.
would this sound? Like that doesn't sound natural. I'm going to create a random character because this sounds more natural.
Yeah, it's like you also get like those like recurring people that keep coming back to like late night blogging videos. And it's like, oh my God, it's this person again. I need to make a voice for you. And it's just like I realized I started doing that with some recurring ones. There's this one guy called Goat, and I gave him like basically a corrupted Patrick Star voice. It's like, all right, guys, do you ever think about how like Mario has like a bone in his mustache? I'm like, all right, stop. Just stop.
You're my main source of like I can just use all of your stuff that
It's like,
you
you are
write.
my muse. Keep writing.
I found my meme. Oh, that's fun. Like you said, I think it's one of those things to where you just continue honing and practicing your craft, and two, it's fun being able
Yeah.
to do something besides working and constantly just berating and bombarding your heads constantly and pounding on the head like, why am I not getting work? Just like
Yeah.
refocus on a couple things, reset, have fun, and they go, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then like you have to start like doing notes and realizing the things you're not doing and why you're not getting work. Because I've had friends do that with me. I'll sit there and be like, why am I not booking anything? Like, have you do auditions? Like, well, not in a while. Have you submitted to anybody? No, not really. It's like, have you been doing mostly Tumblr stuff? Yeah. It's like, all right, there's your answers. Fix that.
Are you marketing? No.
No.
Actually, just started a new marketing strategy a couple weeks ago, and I have found a lot of good potential leads and been cast in a couple projects just from this new marketing strategy.
Oh, cool.
So we'll see if it continues going. One of the things I'm also doing is Tony Weiss. I'm not sure if you know Tony Weiss. Tony Weiss and he's a demo producer, voice actor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I got my demo with Tony, and I was like, this is really good. You need to be charging more, buddy. That straight up,
Mhm.
you need to charge more. So he raised his rates. And then from there, it's like, you need to take your demos and your voice acting and separate them. And he goes,
Yes.
okay. So we found a website, we started building, and it was just literally going to be demos. And then I was like, well, you're an audio engineer. Why don't we do like anything that has to do with audio engineering, demo producing, et cetera, et cetera. And then it formulated from there. Well, why don't we do casting and directing as well? Because voice actors are part
Mhm.
of audio. A good voice actor makes good audio. Bad voice actor makes bad project, just flat out. So then I made the joke. Oh, it's like I'm your co-founder. And he goes, yeah, no. Yeah. I was like, no. I was
I take it back. Don't.
I was joking. He goes, no, I wouldn't be here without you. So yes, you're my co-founder. I was like, darn it. I was like, yes, I started another endeavor. But I'm super excited to be in Immerse Productions with him.
That sounds awesome.
But with that, I've been doing some of the marketing with, hey, do you need voice actors. Obviously, that's not the first thing you say. Never do that
Mhm.
as your lead. But eventually we get to the conversation of, do you need voices? They'll usually say yes or no, obviously.
Mhm.
And then from there, if they say yes, we're going to work on that soon, I go, oh, by the way, I also am the director or the co-founder of a audio production company where we provide casting and directing, and they'll explain what we do. And they go, okay, let's talk about that as well. It's like,
Sweet.
we'll see. We'll see. I have about 4 or 5 projects that I might be casting because of that.
Sweet.
Yeah. So market people, market and find something that works and don't do that only. Just do that
Absolutely.
and everything else. Because if you do one thing, eventually it's going to die down. And because I was doing just LinkedIn marketing, and
Mhm.
eventually what I was getting in responses and replies and connections on LinkedIn started dwindling. And I was like, well, what the heck? The same thing I was doing. It was the same thing. The thing I was doing is now not getting me the results, which is now not getting me the leads, which means I'm not making progress in my business. I need to change something. And so I
Right.
started doing another marketing strategy and I was like, oh, this is getting me results. But then I'm still thinking, I need to continue doing this over here. So that way, if this one stops, I got this one going. So it's, you can't
Yeah.
do one thing. And I think that's where a lot of people either one are not marketing, or two, they're only marketing in one spot. And they're like, I'm not growing as a business. Why?
Yeah.
And you're doing one thing. That's it.
And then people always wonder, it's like, why is this person always so tired and exhausted? They're just doing one thing. It's like, no, we're doing like 10. Don't
Do
even.
that. Let me explain to you my process and go. And they're like,
Oh
oh,
my God, how are you alive? Like,
I've
I
actually,
don't know.
I've gotten that. Like, how do you sleep? I'm like, what's that? What is
Like,
sleeping?
my answer's like, not well.
Not well. I'm still awake. I've been awake for 12 hours. No, 12 days. It's been 12 days. You know,
Yeah.
it's,
The other thing is, if you get overseas clients, it's one of those, your sleep schedule is completely thrown off, because
oh,
it's
I
like,
just,
well, we're awake over here now because it's like 9 in the morning for us, and we need you to read this thing in
you're
like
like,
4 hours. Like, it's 2 in the morning for me, guys. Please don't make me do this.
right. I just got a client or a lead. I wouldn't say client yet. I just got a lead with someone from Sri Lanka, which
Oh.
is only, well, not only, it's 12 and a half hours ahead of
Mhm.
me. So when it's 9 in the morning for them, it's 8:30 at night for me. So he goes, all right, let's do a call on Wednesday and we'll talk about the project and what you can help us do. I was like, sounds good. You know, you're 12 and a half hours ahead of me, right?
Like, oh no.
So hopefully he's going to go, hey, let's do the call at like 9 my time, which would be 8:30 my time, which would be doable. But if he's like, all right, we're going to do 11 o'clock my time. No, that's 10:30 for me. I'm generally in bed.
Yeah, I've had moments like that too. There was an animation project that I was involved in for kids, and the animation staff wanted to be on board for the call so they can do some pre-sketches and everything. They're in Taiwan. My director is in the UK, and I'm in New York. So it's one of those, we need some sort of perfect time sync where this all works out.
Yeah.
And
When
apparently that perfect time sync was 9 o'clock at night for me. I was like, you want me to be fully awake and reading things for kids when I'm just about ready to almost fall asleep over here? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of
Like,
course. Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
cool, cool. All right, fine.
Or it's 6 in the morning. I think I can do late at night stuff decently. It's
Mhm.
the stuff where like, hey, we're gonna do a 6 o'clock meeting AM for you. Is like, I'm not functional. I can't see straight at that time. If I wake up, I'll be like looking at this. That sounds great. And I'm like looking at you in the eyes. I'm looking way over here. That's a great idea. Mhm.
I'm sure that'll work out.
I'm sure that will work out. Yeah, that's true. Plus, my daughter is asleep at 6 in the morning. So if they're like, "Hey, we're gonna have you do some screaming and we're gonna do some reads and it's gonna be early in the morning," I'm like, "You're funny."
That is the thing I can never teach kids because that's a whole different ballgame is being a voiceover talent while you are parents.
Yeah.
I'm like, I am not a parent, so things are a little easier.
Yeah.
But when you're a voiceover talent and have children, it's tough.
It is. It's tough because you don't want to just hop in the booth every time you get home because you're like, I have to come home after work because I still a full-time employee. I still full-time work. And then
Mhm.
so I get home, I can't just hop in the booth because something came up. I need to spend time with my family and give my daughter attention and all this stuff. So generally when I step into the booth, it's later in the evening, more like 7 or 8 when she goes to bed. So when someone's like, "Hey, we're gonna do a call and it's gonna be at 3," I'm like, "I'm still at work at that time. Can we do like 4:30?" Generally, so far I haven't had someone go, "No, that's not acceptable." So thankfully,
Yeah, because it's
thankfully,
like
yeah,
directors need the thing, so they're not gonna like try to force it and
yeah,
like break the relationship and not get the thing.
right, of course. So yeah, eventually I'm going to, because I'm, as you see, I'm in this PVC moving blanket booth.
That
I've
works.
had this plan to build a booth,
Hmm.
a soundproof booth, for about a year or so, a little more than a year, and it hasn't happened because one, it was initially I was just going to build a booth in the garage, but then my wife's
Hmm.
like, "Well, why don't we put insulation in there so it's warmer, and why don't we put drywall up, and then why don't we put insulation in the ceiling?" And so there goes all the finances that I had saved up for the booth.
Yeah.
Eventually, saved back up. We did a couple projects. The garage got slammed with stuff. Okay, well, I can't do my project now. Clean that out. So it's
Yeah.
just been the I'm getting it's gonna happen. It's hap
It's
it's
one
happening.
day at a time. I mean, it took me 9 years to get a booth, so I know how it feels, man.
Yeah. So I mean, I have thankfully I had the funds because a lot of like Christmas and birthdays, I've got a lot of seed money because people are like, I believe in what you're doing. Here's some seed money to kind of help you get your equipment and build your booth. And then a buddy of mine works for a glass company. So he goes, "Oh, yeah, you want a laminated window? How big do you want?" It's like, this big?" And he goes, "Here, it's filled. It has gel inside and it's laminated glass on this side and laminated glass on this side. And here you go." It's like, "How much?" He goes, "No, it's free." It's like,
Thank you.
"Thank you so much because this would have been so expensive to buy on my own."
I know. There always are.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, so building your booth. So you've been doing voice acting for how long?
12 years.
12 years now. So, and it took you about 9 years to build your booth. And then
Hmm.
it's just a constant build of things.
Yep.
Where would you like to see yourself in 5 years?
I honestly would like start to look at office space for myself here in New York and
Right.
start helping talents that are in my proximity that don't have an easy start and to get voiceovers. They don't have the same materials and everything. So it'd be nice to set up something here where I live and help like those kids that are trying to find themselves get into this area and
Mhm.
start making a name for themselves. I
Definitely.
figured at that point, I feel confident enough to teach somebody how to do it because I don't feel that way right now where I can actually sit down and do a class.
Mhm.
I would like to start working on that in the future,
That's
helping
awesome.
kids get where I wanted to be when I was their age and I never got to be there.
Right. And I think it's just one of those things too where, yeah, it definitely helps when you do have a helping hand. But I think even if you have someone helping and providing the information or stuff that you need,
Mhm.
unless you actually take that stuff to heart and run with it, you're not going to be projected into the right spot because someone
Mhm.
goes, "Here's a great place to follow. Here's a great place to look," and things like that. And if they're like, "Oh, that sounds good. I'm going to go over here because I think this looks really gold. Look, it's shiny." You're like, "No, no, no, no. Stay on the path." Oh, bye.
And they're gone.
And they're
It's like a
gone.
trap.
Yeah, right. Actually have sat down with two, and I'm going to be sitting down with a third. Uh, Newer talents that are interested in voiceover but don't know where to start. So I have a little
Mhm.
like thing that I started like this is how I got started, not
Cool.
how to get started. This is how I got started
Yeah.
and take take it or leave it with the information because obviously it's a lot and I think a lot of people don't know how much voiceover is to start. Not financially, just how much there is. And so it's always like, start with acting chops because you need to act.
Mhm.
Then the space, not the equipment, then the equipment. And then we need to do auditions, marketing, coaches, resources, this. And they're like, oh, it's like, yeah, that's a lot.
It's like, I just can't get like a microphone and do it. Like,
No,
no,
you can't.
there's a lot more.
Yeah. Don't even get your microphone until you have your space. They're like, but
Yes.
that voice microphone. No. Space. Then
Yes. Because if you buy the microphone first and start recording things, you have weird audio that you can't fix.
and no one's gonna. I mean, you might get a couple projects, but you're not gonna be doing high-end projects like that. Sorry, that's not how it works then at all. Was bad audio and bad reflections, and I went,
Ooh.
and it just went. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man. I was like, this is why I think voice actors fall into the audio production side, because if you don't have good quality actors and or can help the actors that are cast get better um, space, that alone is going to ruin the audio production, which is a huge part of any production, and it's just going to kind of go downhill very quickly. So that, yeah, definitely good space is important. You don't even need a great microphone. You can get away with a good space with a Yeti or a Snowball. I wouldn't
Mhm.
recommend it, but you could.
Yeah.
Because that's going to sound better than a Sennheiser 416 in a untreated space. Hands down.
Absolutely. I've seen guys who like will shovel out the money for a Neumann 103 and have zero treatment space, and it's like, why does it not sound as good as yours? Like, you did it wrong.
Why does it sound even worse? Because I had this one microphone and it sounded good. It was a dynamic microphone. And then I got a TLM 103 and I don't have treated space. And now it sounds even worse.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's like,
Where's your foam squares? It's like, what's a foam square? Like, oh, sweet child.
where's your where's your blanket? Get your blanket booth. Get your blanket. It's a blanket fort. I have a blanket fort. I feel happy.
That's always what I like. My first ever one setup was exactly like that. It was like pieces of wood and like a really thick hotel blanket that I threw over. Like, this works. Oh my god, it's a fort.
I'm in a fort.
I've come full circle.
Oh my gosh, my daughter loves it in here. She'll like come in and she'll, Daddy, can I sing? Daddy, can I talk into the microphone? Can I sing Twinkle Twinkle? It's like, I'm recording, but yeah, give me a second.
It's be funny in the middle of session. It's just like very deep read. It's like, Dad, I want to sing. It's like, sweet.
Actually, that
just trying.
some
I was trying to be a mafia agent.
I'm being a mafia agent. Daddy, I want pancakes. Actually, I've done a couple behind the slates where I'll be recording and she likes to pop in, and she actually says hi to whoever she walks in. So she's like, hi.
Oh,
So yeah, it happens, and that's one of the things. Again, as a parent, you're gonna expect, but that's
yeah.
that's okay. It's life. You can't shut down your family because you want to do other things or pursue other things. So it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is definitely one of those things that it happens. What is possibly a project that you can talk about that you are most excited about that is still in the process and or has been released?
The guys that I'm working with right now, we actually did an episode, I think a couple of weeks ago that came out. It's a monthly series called The Weaklings. Um, I'm not voicing any of the main staff, but I come in as recurring characters every so often, and it's fun because every character is absolutely different and very exciting. Like the first one was basically the Groundhog's Day shadow. So it's one of those. It's like you don't even have to like speak English. You just have to do cartoonerish, almost doodle bob gibberish in the microphone. I'm like, oh my god, yes, thank you. And it was such a blast. It was just like they gave me all the storyboard animation, and it was like it was like the most genuine feeling of recording for a cartoon for everything. So it just was right in my face. I could see what was happening. I could emote. I could swing myself in certain directions and everything. Like this is what I wanted, and I love it.
Yes. Oh, that sounds so much fun. Uh, and I think that's kind of the joy and passion of voice acting is you can be a kid again,
Hmm.
and kind of gives you that this is what it was like when I was a kid, and now I'm providing the voices for kids to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
I have a dream moment that I've never shared with anybody, and I want to share right now. Okay. Do you remember the Robin Williams movie, Mrs. Doubtfire?
yes.
The very beginning where he's actually in the studio singing and watching the cartoon as he's doing.
Hmm.
That's the scene I want in my life. I
Yes.
want that big area to myself, have the cartoon or whatever project is on screen and just recording along with it and just like trying to help bring it to life. That's like my dream moment. As soon as that happens, like I could retire right now. I
I'm
won't
done.
care.
I'm done. My current dream is just to step into a studio.
Mhm.
Um, and eventually a long dream. I think this is what every voice actor hopes eventually, or any voice actor who's doing video games and or animations and character work is to be on a panel. But that is done that way.
Down the line.
I I need to step in studio first before I go do that over
Yes.
there. But
He's ventured.
yeah, I think having that dream of what we want to do kind of just has us something to project for and aim for.
Yeah.
Without that, you're kind of aimlessly walking, going, "What now? What do I do?
Yeah.
I don't know where to go. I'm all
And it's one
alone."
of those I just push someone aside and say, find a new dream then.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're I feel that if you're not passionate for acting and you just want to do
Hmm.
voice acting for fame, find a new thing because
Yeah.
generally, especially when you start out in voice acting, you're not going to be famous.
Hmm.
You might be small, kind of recognized in the community, but you're not going to be famous. Um, so I think a lot of people who come in like, I'm gonna do voice acting because I want to make lots of money and be famous.
It's like, y'all picked the wrong field, bucko.
Yeah, yeah. Are you gonna work hard for it? No. I'm just gonna do it. It's like, yeah, mm. Stop now before you start because you're gonna quit frustrated. You better have a passion and just
Yeah.
strive so hard,
It's like,
so
and
hard.
you better be prepared to handle rejection 24/7
Yes.
because when you get towards like decades in doing this, you will get a lot of slides and you're not going to hear back from all of them.
No. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm not even 2 years in. I'm
Yeah.
um. uh, Anyway, February next year will be 2 years. So I'm not even 2 years in, and I definitely have had my fair share of rejections. And again, like you said, you get to 10 years, you're gonna have tenfold of what I've already experienced.
Yeah. The best is you'll see things you audition for, and then like you'll see them on TV, like, oh, so that's who they picked. All right, cool, Morgan.
Oh, yeah. See, I'm still at the process where I'll a lot of the projects one are smaller projects. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, you eventually you start auditioning for those larger roles, and you're like, I could have been in that. That could have been me.
The best is seeing those commercials and like thinking, oh, that sounds exactly like me. I wonder what I did wrong. And then I have to like call the manager, be like, what I mess up on? It's just like, all right,
What do you
it's
do?
like you had the right thing, it just wasn't enough.
You know, and I think the thing is, I think a lot of people are like, they didn't pick me. It's like, no. They didn't. It's not that they didn't pick you. They just picked them.
Yeah.
Put it that perspective. It's not
Yeah.
that,
It's not, it's you didn't do a bad job. It's just the client heard somebody else and thought that's the one.
yeah, exactly. And it's not even that they did better.
Yeah.
They just were the ones that the client was looking for that role in that
Mhm.
delivery. That is it. It's not that you're a bad actor or you. Here's another thing. One character, and this is probably minuscule. One character could have 100 to 300 auditions per
Mhm.
character. So you're already your odds are 1 in 100, so 1%. Or if you
Yep.
want to get to something more extreme, 1 in 300. So one you have a 0.333 chance of being cast.
you might as well play the lottery at that point.
Exactly. So when people are like, I didn't get cast, it's like, how many?
Yeah.
So
It was like Grand Guilds. It was like Grand Guilds. I don't remember the exact number, but I remember Reese saying it was godly high when it like came to like the second batch of characters.
Yeah.
It's just like the fact of being picked. It was like not even like being good or bad. It was just one of like you had like 1 in 1,000 chance of getting the part.
right. Actually, you and I are in Grand Guilds together.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm the male civilians.
And I am the emperor.
I know. So good. I'm
It was
excited.
just like it was like orc tone, but taken up a notch. So it's like one of those release her. It's like one of those. Oh,
I hear it. Yes. Those darker, swampy characters.
yeah.
That's like your
It's
wheelhouse.
one of those. It's like I like the first time I read for it, I was like, I really want this because I like what I'm throwing down right now. It's like the first time I read for you are not fit to rule. I was like, save that voice.
Where can people go to find more about you and more about your work?
Well, there is a couple spots. If you want to see the late night Tumblr reads on how they do, my channel is just PM Seymour on YouTube. That's easy to find. Twitter is one of those things I'll just kind of share things I do throughout the day, and that's at Pat M Seymour VA. And then the final one, I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff, surprisingly, on TikTok. And that one is the PM Seymour VA, because apparently I've had doppelgangers on there. I'm like, no, this one's me.
This is me.
This is
the PM
Yeah.
Seymour. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time and sitting down and talking.
It was a pleasure, man. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thanks for listening to Behind the Slate with guest PM Seymour. If you like the episode, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell button to stay notified. I look forward to seeing you again.
Wait, where are you located that you're doing this?
Seattle.
You're a trooper then.
We got to do what we got to do. got myself a cup of joe, cup of coffee. Thanks, you
At the end of my
person. I love you, and I love you too, random citizen.
I feel that sometimes. Start reciting things and like, yeah, I remember doing that like 3 months ago. Yeah, it's like, do you think I just go into the booth and just like come out with the exact lines you're looking for? Yeah.